December 17th, welcome to another Advent Calendar video. Today we're going to talk about UIImagePickerController, which is a really cool iOS component that you only can create in code actually, but it helps you to pick the images from your users, either from the photo library or directly from the camera. And we're using the photo library today, so if you have a look at the simulator, you will find a number of demo images already added by Apple to the simulator so that we can use them easily in code and in our application. So let's bring up Xcode, call our project Image Picker, create that on the desktop, and we're creating a very simple user interface for our purposes today. So we add a image view. I'm typing it into our object library, adding it to the top left corner, maybe this size, selecting the aspect fill content mode so that it scales up our image or scales it down, but does not distort it in any way. Also, what we want to activate is clip to bounce so that even if our image is larger than the image view, it does not go over the edges of our image view. Now, the thing that we should do is go into the size inspector, activate these three pins here so that we pin our image view to the right, to the top, and to the left, and we want our image view to stretch in width. So we activate this double arrow here, and then we also add a little button at the bottom, choose image, and select it again, and then we deactivate the predefined auto resizing masks and just activate the bottom pin in the center so that our button always stays in the center at the bottom of our view controller. And with that, we have created our user interface. So let's create some outlets and an action for our user interface components. I'm creating an outlet for my image view. The assistant editor is already open, pressing Control, dragging it to my view controller class. This is the image view, and choose image. This is our button. Therefore, we are creating an action. So we choose the action connection, and we call this function choose image. And there we go. We have our IB action. We can close down the assistant editor, bring up the view controller, and when we have a look at our choose image function, what we need to do is first of all give the user a choice using either the camera or the photo library. Therefore, we're using an action sheet. And if you'd like to know more about UIImagePickerController, have a look at the video from yesterday. You will find it in the playlist linked in the video description below. So let's create an action sheet object here with a UIImagePickerController. Initialize it with a title, photo source, choose a source as a message, and the preferred style is going to be an action sheet. Let's now add some actions, and therefore we take our action sheet and call the add action function, and then we start with UI alert action and directly initialize an action here. We can give it a title like camera, and we have a default style, and here we have a completion handler that is triggered as soon as we tap on that camera button. We have to add one parameter here, which is our action, and we're going to implement that in a second. Just make sure to add all the parentheses here, but first I'd like to copy this 2 times. So first of all, we have another button, which is going to be the photo library, and then we also have a cancel button, and we use the cancel style right here. And then what we can also do is simply add nil here for the handler, since we do not need to do anything when we press on cancel. And then we should present our action sheet. So we use self and present the action sheet animated without any completion handler. And then we can already give this a try and look at that in the simulator, and we should see our nice little action sheet popping up from the bottom. So let's press the button, choose image, and here's the photo source. Choose a source, either camera, photo library, or cancel. And if we press on camera, of course, nothing happens. But what we can do now is at top of our action sheet, we can create an image picker Controller. And we can initialize that with a UIImagePickerController. And we do not need to add any parameters here for this initializer. We just use the plain and simple image picker controller. And then in our camera or in our photo library action, what we do is use the image picker controller and change the source type. So for the camera, we use the source type camera, and for the photo library, we use the image picker controller, the source type, and the photo library. And then we can present our image picker controller again with self-present, and we can do that with the image picker controller, animated, no completion needed, and then we can copy that one line and add this to our first button camera as well. And what we also need to do is take the image picker controller and set its delegate to self so that we can use the delegate functions or the delegate methods of the UIImagePickerController delegate, which we have to add at the top of our class. And what we also have to do is adopting the UI navigation controller delegate, because the image picker controller also needs that protocol. And then we have to add two functions of the UIImagePickerController delegate, which is first of all, the image picker controller did finish picking media with info. And this dictionary here, the info dictionary, contains our image data. So what we can do to get the image information, to get the real image the user has picked, is to create an image object, which is going to be a UI image object, use the info dictionary and access it with a predefined key called UIImagePickerController original image. And you can get a lot of more information from that dictionary, but we're keeping it simple here, just getting the original image as UI image. And with that UI image, we can now populate our image view and its image property and simply assign the image. And then what we definitely need to do is take the UIImagePickerController that is also passed along as an argument here in our delegate function, take the image picker and call dismiss. We can say that it should be animated, and we could also specify a completion handler, what we are not going to do. And the second function of the ImagePickerController delegate that we need to implement is ImagePickerController did cancel, and here we simply have to dismiss the ImagePickerController the same way we did in the did finish picking media with info. And with that done, we are almost ready to give this a first try, but we will crash, or our application is going to crash, because we did not yet state a reason why we'd like to access the user's photo library. Because I cannot remember all of the keys, I like to do the following. I know that it's going to crash, so why not let it crash? So we choose an image, we access the photo library, and at this moment, we get the compiler warning on an output in the console that we have to use the NSPhotoLibrary usage description in the info plist. So here we have to enter a reason why we want to use the user's photo library. And we can do that by going into the info plist in our project and right-click into the plist and add a new row and paste the key right here. And then we can add a description here, because we can, of course, and you should obviously add something more valuable here. But for our purposes, this will do. So let's try this again. Let's run this in the simulator and see if we can now pick an image. And if we now press on our button, we can get our action sheet. We can choose the photo library. And here we go. And now it says Image Picker would like to access your photos because we can. And then we can allow that. Okay. So now I'm choosing an image right there. And here we have the image picked and added to our image view. So this is, of course, a pretty basic implementation. And what happens now if we run our application again and we select the camera? This does not work right now because we don't have a camera, so it's going to crash. So what we can do about that is, first of all, go back to our info plist and also add the camera usage description, which is the key NSCamera usage description. And here we also enter maybe because we can. And again, here, please enter something useful. And the other thing that we have to do is to check if a camera is available. So we can do that in our choose image function. And here we can do that in our UI alert action for the camera button. And here we just check if our image picker controller, so if UIImagePickerController, and then is source type available, and then we can check the source type camera, and only if this is available we want to set it as a source and also present our image picker controller, and else we simply print camera not available. And you could of course also, if the user's camera is broken or you're not allowed to use it, you could add kind of an alert message again, but we keep it simple. We run this in the simulator and we should be able to get an application that does not crash when we press the camera button. So we go to our action sheet, we press camera, and we get the information camera not available, of course, in the simulator. But on a real device, you should have no problems with that code. So have fun exploring your image picker controller experience. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.